People of Earth, we come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of central Iowa, welcome to Max World Live. Max World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Max World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Max World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
7 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock on the 4th day of February in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is the Thursday edition of Max World Live. Have a great show coming up for you today. We've got lots of news stories to talk about. They're all local. They're all local. That's how much stuff's going on in Iowa right now. And does any of them have anything to do with politics? Hold on. Nothing, no. Well, the only thing we could talk about if you wanted to talk about the caucuses or anything is this, what are they calling it? The Cruzgate? Cruzgate?
I don't know. Are people really making a big deal out of this? I've been meaning to say, could it have been just an honest mistake?
Well,
is it? I mean, am I just that naive?
No. Here, here's the mistake that was made. CNN did a report that said that after the Iowa caucuses, Dr. Ben Carson would be returning home to Florida.
Right.
That's it. The Cruz campaign assumed, or, well, you can say assumed. If you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, they assumed that meant he was quitting the race.
Right.
Or you can say that they were malicious and they just took it one step farther down a road that CNN didn't report. Because the Cruz campaigns, everybody's pointing their finger at CNN, and CNN's going, would you look at the report? We said that he's going to return to Florida after the Iowa caucuses. We didn't say why. We didn't say he was quitting the campaign. The Cruz people did something that only politicians could get away with. They finished the sentence to make it sound like they wanted it to sound. And that's wrong. You know, as a journalist.
But they're not journalists.
CNN were journalists. What I'm saying is the Cruz campaign, they were not trying to report a story to the news media. They were just saying, hey, if he's dropping out, we got to jump on this now. And I'm not saying that what the Cruz campaign did was great, but I think it's funny that people are really making a mountain out of a molehill.
Well, the thing that
in my opinion,
the thing that irritates me in the defense of whoever done it, they're slamming Ben Carson like he done something wrong. And I made the point on a Facebook post that maybe he didn't feel good. Maybe he wanted to go home and eat a home-cooked meal. Maybe he wanted to go home and be with his wife. Whatever the reason, that's nobody's business. I mean, he's got a right to fly where he wants to. There's no obligations that he has to fly straight to New Hampshire. And so, I would simply say that, they're trying, in a roundabout way, they're trying to point the finger at Ben Carson, and he's the innocent bystander and all. And I want everybody to remember one thing. Ben Carson had a campaign worker that died. He may have wanted to just go home and have some personal prayer and devotion in private. Just get off the campaign trail. And when you assume things, I've often heard this joke that you can make something out of yourself when you assume things. You just short and assume. And I think that's what the Carson and Rubio campaign's done to theirself, because Ben Carson said last night on TV, Cruz has got my cell phone number. He could have called and heard it from the horse's mouth.
See, that's what they did wrong. And
they didn't verify it, right?
Yeah. Trust but verify. Ronald Reagan. And I think the reason that it upsets, does it upset me? Yeah, I guess it upsets me. I mean, I'm not upset. I mean, I'm not
losing sleep over it.
Yeah. But it bothers me because if I had voted for Cruz, I'd really be mad. If I was going to vote for Carson and then decided I was going to vote for Cruz instead because of what I heard, I'd be really mad. I'm just disappointed that, once again, a person who says they are an evangelical, they're a Christian, they have a faith, they have a belief. When you say that, there's a set of guidelines, boundaries that come along with that.
Requirements.
Well, I don't know if it's a requirement. Yeah, sure, you could say requirement. I mean, if we found out that Ted Cruz was having an affair, his reputation as an evangelical would be out the window, at least an honest one.
Yeah.
I believe what he did to the Carson campaign is just a little bit below that. I really do, because he lied to get votes. Now, there's nothing more crooked in politics than that.
Well, I would like to ask, because I got a lot of grief from some people on Brad Sands' post today, and I would like to ask those people, if that same thing was done to Cruz, the same thing that went on with Carson, they said Cruz dropped out, and that caused him some voters to be suppressed for not voting for Cruz, and it would have cost him the state to Trump. Would the Cruz camp be crying foul today?
Here's the question I have for you, though. Do we have record? Do we have proof? Is there evidence that it cost Ben Carson any votes?
I think... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Frank.
I think it cost him a few percentage points.
If I had been sitting at the caucuses and I heard that Ben Carson's going to get out tonight after the Iowa race, do you think there's any chance I'd vote for him?
No, but do we have anybody that experienced that, though? Is anybody coming out and saying, yeah, that happened to me. I was in my meeting all ready to go for Ben because in my precinct, Ben had a really good showing in my precinct. In fact, Ben Carson and Donald Trump had the exact same votes to the number in my precinct, and they were very supportive, and it never came up there. So I'm not trying to defend Cruz, but I feel like this is being overblown to try to make Cruz look bad.
And maybe it is. I don't know. And I certainly don't want to continue that down that road.
Right. And I just think we need to be careful because the most important, what we don't want to do, in my opinion, as a new Republican, as a lifelong Republican, what I want to be careful that we do is we don't turn in on ourselves right now. We cannot afford.
That's going to go on that's going to go on for another 30 days.
Well, I know it is, but we have to be careful that we don't blow some of these things too much out of proportion here and make them about policies and who needs to be the best leader. And I'm not saying that Cruz needs to be the president of the United States or he doesn't.
If that was the only thing that went on, that would be an isolated incident, might be forgiven. But both apparently Cruz and Rubio put out some intimidating things that was giving like a report card to your neighbors that you're not a very good person that shows up at the polls, and that stinks on both of those guys' part. That's just
but
politics.
The Iowa Republican Party did the same thing. They did the same thing 4 years ago, and that's where they got the idea. We got one of those at our home, and it listed a couple of my neighbors by name, and I would imagine somebody else in my neighborhood may have gotten one with my name on it. Now, that'd be a foolish mistake. Every one of my neighbors knows there's no way you're not going to find. There's no way you're not. That's a double negative. You know you're going to find Mac at his caucus on Iowa caucus night.
Right.
I mean, I would have had to been very, 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 very sick, and I've never been that sick that I don't go to caucus. So, and here's the other challenge, Chris, is if we had somebody that stepped up and said, I voted for Cruz, I caucused for Cruz when I was going to do it for Ben until I heard that Ben was stepping back. There's no way to verify that. No. There's no vote. There's no tally. There's no way to verify that. So if I'm a bunch of Ben Carson fans, I mean, if Ben Carson was as unethical, no, let me back up. If Ben Carson was unethical, I won't say as. If Ben Carson was unethical Right now, he'd have a whole bunch of his supporters flooding the media with "I changed my vote because of that. I changed my vote. My wife and I changed our vote. Our whole family changed our vote. Thousands of votes were lost because of that piece of information by Cruz."
But number one, it hasn't happened, and number two, it hasn't happened because I don't know that it did happen. Because if it had naturally happened, you said it yourself, you would be mad. If you went into caucus night and before you cast your vote, the news came down that Ben Carson has dropped out, your heart would go sad, you'd be upset, you would have voted for Cruz. And then when this would have happened, you would be livid and nothing would stop you. And I don't think it is coming out. And you're right that the Carson campaign could come out and encourage people to do that, and they haven't done that either, which shows that they're ethical. But the problem is that very well could be backfiring on them because there's really no evidence that it made much of an impact. And here's the reality. We talked about this. Steve King tweeted this thing out at 6:30, man. I'm 38. I'm a Facebook, Twitter dude. I didn't see it. I was busy doing caucus stuff. I was busy saying hi to people, blah, blah, blah. I was busy. I don't know how many people actually got the news. I'm not trying to defend Cruz here. It just kind of tickles me that we're still talking about this thing that seems, I don't know. I just don't know who, other than upset Ben Carson fans, I don't know who's all that mad about it.
Frank?
I caucused for Ben, and I told everybody in the caucus, I spoke up for him, and I said, look, I'm here to support the nominee of the GOP party. I just happen to be here tonight for Ben Carson, and I've wanted everybody to do the same thing, whoever you voted for. If you vote for Cruz, you vote for Rubio, you vote for Rand Paul. I want an open caucus without anybody's thumb on the scales, establishment, conservatives, or libertarian. I just want everybody to vote their conscience and the best man come out of this, or woman.
See, now, the challenge for me is that the only people that are wanting this whole thing to go away are people like you who are Cruz supporters. I don't hear any Marco Rubio supporters going, that was just horrible what Ted Cruz did. Or, I think it was great what Ted Cruz did. He didn't do anything wrong. All right, take a break. Coming back, the other news on campus today live in Mac's World on 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
After 3 o'clock, 3:21, fourth day of February in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Now, coming up in the next hour, we have a young woman coming in. And, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about our guest in the 4 o'clock hour? Because you know all about her.
Well, I don't know that I would say that. She's a member of Westkirk Presbyterian Church. Her name is Sue Holcomb. She is a part of the Evangelism Commission there at Westkirk, and she's leading a course, a video course mostly, called Bridges. It's a 7-week study connecting Christians and Muslims. It's a part of the evangelism effort of Westkirk Presbyterian, and I'm going to be attending the class. It's going to be Sundays starting at 12:30. We're going to have lunch and then watch the video and do the work and all that kind of stuff. She'll explain to us what all that is. But what's so fascinating about it to me and why I'm excited to have her on here is because we talked about this, I think it was yesterday or the day before. We talked about it this week, that I honestly want to understand Islam better for the purposes of being able to love them and share the gospel with them. I don't want Muslims to go to hell.
Am I able to debate with her today, or is this just a dog and pony show on her part? Well, say it any way you want, but am I able to disagree with her today?
I would hear her before you disagree with her. Don't go into it assuming you know where she's coming from. What I'm saying to you is hear her before you disagree. I don't think you'll have anything to disagree with.
See, Frank and I are gonna be twin sons from different mothers here. You know, anyway, I may let you run that show because I don't think I'm gonna agree with what she says. And by the way, do you think Muslims need to know, hear the gospel, receive Jesus? Yes.
Okay, then what do you have a problem with?
Okay, and when they won't, and they don't, and they can't, then what? Because see, they're not normal Gentiles.
Why not?
Because their religion says kill you.
Right.
Okay.
Atheists would like me dead.
No, but they don't, though. They don't.
They're just not that organized. Most atheists are way too disorganized and passive to organize enough to kill. Look, atheists would do away with Christians if they could get themselves together and get organized enough. Absolutely they would. They'd love to shut down churches. There are lots of people who hate Christians. Anyway.
All right. You know what I think, Frank? I think you and I are going to get like a chili dog at A&W by 4:15.
We're both going to sound like Jackie Gleason today.
All right, well, and that leads us to our next story, if I may be so bold. Dateline, Iowa City, the University of Iowa is... Now, Chris, listen to this. You're playing with your phone again. I feel like I'm at the dinner table with my grandsons, and they're not listening to what Grandpa says because they're over there playing with their phones.
Huh? I'm responding to listener texts.
On your phone?
Yes, listener texts wanted to call in, and so I was giving them the number so that they could call in and argue with you.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't give out the number, Mac.
The Service Legends Truth text line is 809-0993, or you could call us at 515-244-0077. Ryan, our producer, will answer the phone. He will determine whether you have the...
street cred.
Don't admit to knowing me.
Don't admit to knowing you. And then...
You'll get on.
Ryan will get him on the phone. And we do have a call coming in, and we'll take that call right now. Apparently, this is the person that texted you. Hi, you're live in Mac's World. Who's this?
Hi, this is Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Well, to be honest, I'm a little bit heated up right now because I felt like that was not a fair coverage of the facts of the situation.
What situation are you talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry, the so-called Cruzgate situation.
All right, I want to hear from you. Go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, the statement that all CNN said was that he was going home is not true. I've watched all of the footage myself. They stated that he was not going to either New Hampshire or South Carolina, point blank. And one of the reporters said, if a person wants to be president of the United States, they do not go home right now. So I don't think they did not state that he was dropping out, but they did a whole lot more than hint at it. So that's the first thing that I think it's important to know, is they did say more than he's going home to Florida.
Okay.
Secondly, both the Cruz campaign and the Rubio campaign did the same thing. It was not just the Cruz campaign. I have tweets and things like that I have seen of the Rubio campaign doing the exact same thing. So if people want to throw mud at Cruz, they've got to be throwing it at Rubio at the same time, because he did the exact same thing. And I remember reading earlier this morning that one of the other campaigns did as well, but I'm sorry, I can't remember which one it was. But I know for a fact that Rubio did as well. And when I say Rubio, I also want to clarify that Cruz didn't do this. Cruz has stated that he had no knowledge of this happening, that it did not come from him. He did not ask anybody to do it. He did not approve it. And he immediately apologized in a very humble way. He didn't justify. He didn't say, oh, that's just politics as usual. That kind of thing happens. He very sincerely apologized immediately. So I'm really pretty perturbed about calling his faith into question when he, one, had nothing to do with it, and two, immediately responded in a humbling, apologetic way.
All right, Debbie, I appreciate you calling. Your voice is always welcome here, and thank you very much for sharing it with us today.
Thank you, Mac.
You bet. Thank you for calling. 244-0077. That's the number. Your voice is always welcome. And if I have my way about it, we won't argue with you. You notice I didn't let Chris or Frank talk that time.
We're going to go on to the next news story. I agree with Debbie. Yay!
The University of Iowa is reconfiguring 2 former offices in the Iowa Memorial Union to serve as full-time prayer spaces. Isn't that nice? They're doing that at our university. I mean, it's a public government school, and they're setting aside 2 offices to serve as full-time prayer spaces. Oh, hold on. Let me continue to read. That primarily will serve the university's Muslim faculty, staff, and students.
Go Islam!
The decision made late last year comes in response to a long-standing request from the university's Muslim Student Association to offer a centrally located space in which the growing number of Muslims on campus can complete their daily religious obligations. The necessity has been well established for a while, says Tom Rockland, UI's Vice President for Student Life. It was more of a question of when the opportunity to do something would come up. There are 2 small but newly carpeted and painted rooms, one for men, one for women, centrally located with 24/7 access. Each of the room provides space for between 15 and 20 Muslims. We're very happy that they gave us this, says Ishmael, who is the UI Muslim Student Association director. It's a big place. It's not a big place for the moment, but we may need a bigger room in the future. I'm going through this. I'm going through this news story, and I'm trying to find the Christian rooms. Hold on. I'm just looking. Oh, But after a handful of gatherings, it became obvious that the Christian chapel with benches, an altar, and a cross was anything but a neutral religious space. It simply wasn't going to work for a group whose members spread out rugs and blankets.
Wait a minute. Did you just say that the University of Iowa has a Christian chapel on campus?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then go ahead and continue with your spin.
It's called the Danforth Chapel, which is available for daily prayers, which Haskins said initially seemed to be the ideal solution. So, in other words, Chris, everybody of any religion could use the same room. So nobody was given any particular, what's the word I want? Favor.
Preference.
Yeah, because of their individual religion. Until now. Because the Muslims need a room just for their own stuff. They can't share. Many Muslim students, faculty, and staff report feeling tension on campus as they seek discrete places in which to offer their 5 daily prayers at dawn, noon, afternoon, sunset, and night. So there began to be tension because the Muslim students didn't have their own thing and they weren't recognized individually. There began to be tension. Not between Presbyterians and Lutherans, although that'd be quite a fight. The Muslim students started raising heck because they didn't have a place of their own.
Because the Presbyterians and the Lutherans had a place.
The National Muslim Student Association has been working for years with campus organizations to seek various accommodations. So what I hear you saying, Chris, or implying, is you think this is perfectly fine.
No, I think you're presenting that in a way. Here's what I think. How about this?
That's what I asked. What do you think?
The way Muslims worship requires them to have, they don't do the chair thing, right? They need an open space. So if you have a chapel with chairs and pews, they don't have a place that they can do their thing in. So that makes sense, okay? So that building, the building that was the room that was set up for religious expression of any kind, okay, could not accommodate them. It couldn't accommodate them because the chairs, I assume, were fixed and couldn't be moved, okay?
Couldn't they kneel down in back of the chair?
That's not how it works. See, that's I'm not telling.
Not how it works.
I'm not telling you. Am I?
Because Sharia law. I mean, that's not how it works.
Really, Mac.
Well, Michigan, Detroit. There are sections of the community that have Sharia law.
All I'm saying is that the way that Muslims pray there is a specific posture in which they pray. It is a legalistic faith, Mac. You know, and I know it's not a faith of grace. In your church, you can pray standing up, sitting down, laying down, picking your nose, not picking your nose, your eyes open, your hand up, whatever you want, in shorts, long pants, T-shirt, whatever, right, at your church. For Islam, they have a particular way that they can pray. It is a legalistic religion.
Okay.
I'm not saying
what's next?
What do you mean what's next? Here's the double standard here. I'm not advocating for more. I'm not going to even argue with the words you're putting in my mouth. The reality is it's it's a double standard, right? The reality is it's a double standard. Christians already have a place that they can participate and they can have their religious activities. I was just going to look up however many multiple Christian ministries in the University of Iowa, on the campus of the University of Iowa. I know at Iowa State University, they have worship services on campus, Christian things going on campus. And now, the second our religious liberty is challenged because it's being extended to a faith we hate, and that's the problem, extended to a faith that we hate, we're getting upset now.
Who hates them? No.
You do.
I don't hate them.
Why are you upset about that then?
Well, because I know I'm a smart guy, and I see a slippery slope. And I'll tell you what, we'll come back after our break.
This is about religious liberty.
Okay, when we come back, let's have a conversation on the slippery slope. I understand completely where you're coming from. Until tomorrow, we'll talk about it.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network news at the top, and then it's us. And next hour, a young lady by the name of Susan Holcomb will be coming in to talk about an event. Would that be correct to say, an event?
7-week study at Westkirk Presbyterian Church.
All right, and when is the study? What days?
They are Sundays, starting at 12:30. We'll have lunch, and we do request that if you want to attend, that you contact the church and let them know that you're coming, so we'll have food. But it starts this Sunday, and then we'll go for 7 weeks. And actually, at the end of the 7-week class, we'll actually have...
conversion to Islam?
No. See, this is... In all seriousness, I think what's most frustrating about this to me, and we'll get this clarified with Sue. You know Michael Mudloff. I know Michael Mudloff. I know Westkirk Presbyterian Church, and you do too. Westkirk Presbyterian is not a pluralistic, all faiths are the same, everybody gets to God kind of church. Okay, so the goal of this class is not to convert Muslims. In fact, the point is to me, the reason why I'm interested in, we can talk to Sue about why, we'll talk about it with Sue when she's here.
Okay.
But that is not the goal. The goal is to understand what Islam...
The goal is not to convert...
to Islam. The goal would be to understand Islam so that we could effectively preach the gospel to them in a way that would help them understand who Jesus Christ is, that they might come to a saving faith of Jesus.
Okay.
That's the goal, because right now, too many Christians are just angry at Muslims and don't love them enough to share the gospel with them. And it's because of, and when they do it in a way that doesn't make sense.
Frank?
Can we share the gospel with them, us here and them over there, before we let them in? I mean, in other words, Mac brought up this analogy a couple times, 100 grapes and 99 are good, 1 are bad. Can we vet these people before we give them the gospel?
unrelated issue. It's apples and oranges. You're talking about the immigration issue. You're talking about Muslims coming to the United States. That's a completely separate discussion. That is one of regulation of the United States, how we secure our borders, how we protect our citizens. The reality is we have Muslims that live in the United States right now, and we don't understand what they believe, and we do not. Most of us Christians, like myself, don't know how to effectively share the gospel with a Muslim. 809-0993 is the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line. Bob, I believe you have a text to share with us.
Yeah, it was on the Rubio Cruz thing.
That's okay.
That's the one I have.
Yeah, I want to read it.
You guys need to listen to Dr. Michael Brown's show yesterday. He explained the timeline of what happened on Monday night. Rubio's camp was first to report on Carson at 6:27.
All right, and then did you also have a chat comment?
The chat comment? Yeah, that was about ISU used to have a Christian chapel. About 5 years ago, there was a big dispute. It was converted to be friendly to Muslims, Jews, and atheists, and then it goes on to say that they put a big curtain to cover the cross.
Okay. All right, 244-0077. That's the hotline. The hotline. That's the studio line that you can call, and Ryan will answer the phone, and you'll be able to share your thoughts with us here in Mac's World.
Another chat. In a country that supports religious freedom, all religions must be allowed to practice their respective faith without hindrance.
There you go. I agree with that comment.
Okay, and then it goes on. The only exception would be when that practice violates current accepted laws.
Okay. Does everybody in this room understand that Sharia law and the Constitution don't fit together? It can't fit together.
Okay, right. But again, I'm not going to disagree with you. But we're jumping from one topic to another when we do that. And I don't disagree with you. That's what people tell me. That's what people say. The rhetoric is that the Constitution and Sharia law don't work together. That's fine, right? Because the Constitution is a unique document. But when we're having that conversation, we've left basic religious freedom and religious liberty in the United States, and we've moved on to a completely different conversation.
All right.
Okay. Because Christians need to be able to practice their faith. They need to be able to practice their religion in the United States, and Muslims need to as well. If Muslims cannot practice their faith in the United States publicly and with freedom, then Christians cannot either. And you and I know that we would like to have our religious liberty continue in this country, and so we have to be consistent intellectually and respectful to our Muslim neighbors who are currently citizens of the United States, and they need the right to be able to practice their faith in whatever manner they see fit. If we stop that freedom, we will be unhappy.
Okay. Let me help you with something about something I call the slippery slope. And for those people who have listened to me in our community for years, those people that have listened to me, excuse me, for a long time, when they hear me say slippery slope, I think they applaud. Because I see, I'm not prophetic in any way. That's not one of my gifts. But I do see the slippery slope. And may I give you an example of what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay. When I was growing up, my Uncle Bill, who was just one of my favorite uncles in the whole world, was gay. Now, he and the rest of his family were sexually assaulted by their father. And so in too many cases, we find that when adolescents decide that they are gay, it's because they have had their identity, their sexual identity crushed through just horrible things. All right. So in I'm going to say about 70, because we had just moved into the house on the south side and I was entering high school. My Uncle Bill fell real ill. Okay. It was AIDS. I don't even know if did we even call it AIDS in the beginning?
I don't think so, no.
I think we called it something else. I don't know. I don't think my Uncle Bill was the first man to die of AIDS. He was in the state of Nebraska. That we do know.
Wow.
My Uncle Bill's lover wanted to be able and come visit him in the hospital. Guess what they were told? I'm sorry, you can't. You're not family. I'm not saying it was my Uncle Bill's case that started that movement, but the movement that began in the 60s and early 70s with the gay community. And by the way, don't hear me knocking gays. I'm not knocking gays. What I am taking exception to is the LGBT political movement. Why can't a person who's gay have their lover come and visit them in the hospital?
And that's all I need.
Okay, so we fought to make that happen. Then, well, we don't need to be married, but can't we at least? Can I share my estate when I die with them, or can they go to our children's parent-teacher conference? Because that's all I want. And then it was, well, let's try to get it so they're not bullied. Military adoption. So they get equal stance and protection under the civil laws, the civil rights laws of the United States. Now, you ask a black man what he thinks about a gay man fighting for civil rights. He'll tell you that's absurd. Being gay is not a civil right. Then, well, we just want to get married. Okay, finally, we'll let you get married. Oh, but we want to get married over there. And they say we can't because they have religious beliefs that disagree with us. And so then people like Betty and Dick Odegaard lose their businesses because they say, well, I disagree with gay marriage, so why can't I? Oh, no, now you're a hater. Now that's hate speech. That's against the ACLU, and you're going to lose your business. You can't make cakes anymore. You can't have a place to have people married, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the slippery slope. We just want to be able to visit them in the hospital. So Muslims come in and say, we just want a place to do our religion, just like okay, we'll do that. Well, now we want to be able to mutilate women because they are whores and have had sex with men who are not their husbands. Well, we don't allow that in the United States. Well, it's in our religion. We're coming back live here. And you know it. You know this is the truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the
10 minutes before the top of the hour, we're going to get right into the phones. We have two people holding. Let's go to Paul on 101. Paul, you're live in Max World. Go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Well, I understand Chris was having a little bit of discussion about freedom of religion and everything else like this. And here in the United States, Islamic faith does not require or allow for freedom of religion. It's not permissible according to their faith. Their faith requires conversion or die. That's the way it's laid out. And if nobody understands or reads the Quran or understands the Hadith or even the Sharia law and goes through the process that Paul did, like he went to Mars Hill to understand how the Greeks understood God and everything like this, it's going to be a hard understanding for a Christian to really take on the knowledge to go witness to Muslims. A person has to understand their faith clearly and then know there's limitations in it and stuff like that.
Paul, I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. 9 minutes before the top, let's go to line 202, where Tom is standing by. Tom, you're live in Max World. What you say?
Thanks, Max. Hey, you missed something on the LGBTQ movement. Now the next phase is getting men, that is people who are biologically men, allowed into the ladies' locker facilities and shower rooms because there are women on the inside, and there's no criteria to where you have to prove that you're in that situation. You can decide 1 minute that you're a man on the inside, and the next minute that you're a woman on the inside. And you know, the only bad thing now in today's society is saying that you know what's right and what's wrong. The government is telling you what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, Tom, very, very good. I appreciate that. 244-0077, that's the number that those two gentlemen called. You can also text us at the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line at 809-0993. You know, I love what Tom said. Tom said the thing that this radio station is all about, the truth. You know, when Bruce Jenner became Woman of the Year because he decided he wanted to be a woman, that's it. That's it. Liberals want rules that back them up because that's how, quote unquote, they feel. God, our Creator, gives us an opportunity to have feelings, have free will, which is another word for sinful nature, because any will you take that isn't God's, and we call it free, no, it should be called sinful nature. Somewhere along the line, the devil spun that one for us. Devil was the first liberal, the first low information voter, the first progressive. No, God didn't really mean that when he said don't eat from that tree, did he? We are heading down a slippery slope once again. But this time, these people don't want to be married. They don't want freedom to do what they feel like. They want to kill us. And I'm telling you that those people who stand up and say, well, this is an opportunity to preach the gospel to these people. No, this is an opportunity to preach the gospel so they can clearly identify that you're an infidel. And they can clearly come and kill you because now, according to their religion, they can kill you and they can't be persecuted. And if we martyr them for doing that, that's the greatest honor they can be given. Chris?
Well, I think, you know, you bring up some really good points. I also want to say that I agree with Paul, who called in as well. He said something I think that was really important, and that is for us to effectively share the gospel with our Muslim neighbors, that we need to understand Islam. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm so excited about taking this class at Westkirk Presbyterian, is so that I can understand Islam to effectively share the gospel with them. And I think the slippery slope that you painted there, Mac, I don't think you're far off. I don't think you're wrong. I think that you paint a picture of a very real future. But I want to ask kind of two questions back to back. One, the question is, what are we willing to give up to stop that of our own? What are we willing to sacrifice as religious people to stop that, if that's the direction we want to go? And also, the more important question, these are both rhetorical, by the way, that I'm willing to answer myself. And the other one is, how do we stop the slippery slope? My opinion is the best way we stop the slippery slope that you just outlined is to effectively, clearly share the gospel and start to be the salt and light in the United States that the Christian church is called to be. I think the reason that we've got this going on in the United States right now is because the Church of Jesus Christ in the United States, in which I am a part of, we have abrogated our responsibility to be the salt and light. We are failing to do that which Christ has called us to do in the United States, and I think these things are somewhat inevitable. If we're going to stop the influx, or if we want to curtail the influx of Islam in the United States, we need to be able to share the gospel with them in effective, clear manner so that they might stop going in this direction of slaughtering other people.
4 minutes before the top of the hour at the Service Legends Truth Talk text line at 809-0993. Bob?
Yeah, this is the text line. Why are Christian rights being slowly stripped away based on freedom of religion, but Muslims are slowly receiving similar rights that are being taken away from Christians? It seems as if if a right is taken away from a Christian, it's given to a Muslim. Example, it's getting harder and harder to pray publicly as a Christian, yet Muslims are receiving more and more places to pray publicly.
Yeah, it's something Chris just said a minute ago is very important that we recognize. We as Christians have failed to stand up and be the church and stand up to what our faith believes in. We didn't stop gay marriage. We didn't stop divorce. We have not yet stopped human trafficking, which, by the way, is just a 21st century word for prostitution.
Oh, and it's sick. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You're right. It is
sick.
But I don't want I want Christians to get our hands dirty. Human trafficking is prostitution, and it happens at several motels around our own city. Divorce is happening daily.
How about Planned Parenthood human trafficking of body parts?
And now, in the name of religious rights, we're letting our enemy in the door, and they want to kill us. And they want to take over, and they want to change the laws. This is when I, as a Christian, want to stand up and say, I've had enough. I can live with gay marriage. I can live with divorce. I can't live with somebody thinking that they have the right to come and kill me. And it's part of their religion to do so. That's where the borders should be shut down. But we'll continue this conversation. Sue Holcomb from Westkirk Presbyterian in next to talk about a 7-week series that she's putting on to help us learn how to preach the gospel to Muslims. Going to be a great hour, and I'm glad you've chosen to be a part of it. Right here on The Truth. 99.3. I'm J. Michael McCoy. We'll see you back after Salem Radio Network News.